You see her there, a small, trembling bundle of cream-colored fur, pressed so tightly into the back corner of the cold, concrete kennel, she almost disappears. Her once bright eyes are wide with confusion, reflecting the harsh fluorescent lights of the corridor, a startling contrast to the warm, soft glow of her previous home. Her delicate frame, though still healthy, quivers with a fear so profound it feels almost tangible. This isn't just any dog. This is Daisy, a creature who, just hours ago, knew only comfort and affection, now facing a bewildering, harsh reality. Her story is about to unfold, a testament to how even the most loving hearts can face unimaginable betrayal, yet find strength in unexpected places. Before you dive into the story, hit like and subscribe if you love dogs. And tell us in the comments what makes your furry friend special, or a favorite dog story that touched your heart. The metallic tang of disinfectant hung heavy in the air, mixing with the overwhelming scent of dozens of other dogs, a symphony of fear, anxiety, and desperation that assaulted Daisy's sensitive nose. The cacophony was relentless, barking, whining, the distant clanging of metal bowls. It was a stark, brutal assault on her senses compared to the quiet, scent-familiar world she had known. She had spent her entire life nestled in warmth, her days filled with gentle pats, soft voices, and the reassuring rhythm of a familiar household. Now she was here, a statistic in a concrete box, one among many, utterly bewildered. She remembered the car ride, a journey that had started with excitement, her tail wagging furiously in anticipation of a walk or a visit to the park. Her previous owner, a woman Daisy had loved unconditionally, had spoken in soft, reassuring tones, which now, in hindsight, felt cruelly deceptive. The car had stopped, not at a park, but at a large, unfamiliar building. She'd been led inside, her leash handed over to a stranger, and then, with a final hurried pat, her human had simply walked away. Daisy had stood there, frozen, watching the receding back, her heart fracturing into 1,000 pieces. It's truly baffling how a creature capable of such profound loyalty can be so easily discarded. One might think, well, that's just rude, isn't it? No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. The shelter staff, kind in their efficiency, had tried to coax her out of her stupor, offering a soft blanket and a bowl of food. But Daisy was beyond comfort. Her world had collapsed. She retreated to the furthest corner of her kennel, her body rigid with shock and betrayal. Her eyes, those beautiful, trusting eyes, were clouded with a deep, unique, emotional moment of sorrow. She barely registered the passing figures or the sympathetic murmurs. All she felt was a profound emptiness, a chilling void where warmth and love used to be. Dogs, much like humans, can experience intense grief and separation anxiety, often displaying behaviors like withdrawal, loss of appetite, and prolonged sadness when abandoned or separated from their primary caregivers. This isn't just about missing food or a bed. It's a deep emotional wound. The first few hours blurred into an eternity of fear. Every clang, every bark from a neighboring kennel made her flinch. She watched other dogs, some frantic, some resigned, pacing their small spaces. She saw the longing in their eyes as people walked by, assessing, judging, sometimes moving on without a second glance. Was that her fate too? To be looked over, just another discarded life in a sea of forgotten souls? The thought sent a fresh wave of despair through her small body. She closed her eyes, trying to block out the harsh reality, desperately clinging to the fading scent of her old life, a phantom comfort. As evening approached, the shelter grew quieter, though never truly silent. The night staff moved through the corridors, their footsteps echoing. Daisy curled into an even tighter ball, trying to make herself as small and invisible as possible. The cold of the concrete seeped into her bones, a constant reminder of her new, desolate circumstances. She shivered, not just from the chill, but from the raw vulnerability of her situation. She was alone, utterly alone, in a place filled with strangers and the lingering scent of abandonment. She wondered if she would ever feel the warmth of a loving hand again, or hear a gentle voice just for her. Would kindness always prevail in a world that could be so cruel? Or was this her new, permanent reality? The bewildering scents and sounds of the shelter continued to assault Daisy's senses, a relentless reminder of her abrupt new reality. Each unfamiliar bark, each jingle of keys down the corridor, pulled her further from the fading comfort of her past. She closed her eyes, trying to conjure the images and smells of her old home, the one she'd been so cruelly taken from. She remembered the soft, plush rug in the living room, a perfect spot for sunbathing, where dust motes danced in the golden afternoon light. She recalled the gentle creak of the old armchair where her owner, a woman named Eleanor, would sit for hours, reading, her hand absently stroking Daisy's head. Eleanor had a scent of lavender and old books, a comforting aroma that still, faintly, clung to Daisy's fur, a poignant ghost of what was lost. Her days had been a peaceful rhythm of morning walks in the neighborhood park, sniffing out intriguing new smells and chasing squirrels with a playful abandon. Then came the quiet afternoons, napping at Eleanor's feet as she worked or read. Evenings meant soft classical music playing, a warm bowl of her favorite kibble, and long, luxurious cuddles on the sofa, her head resting on Eleanor's lap. There had been laughter, soft whispers, and the comforting weight of a human hand on her back. Daisy recalled the way Eleanor would scratch her favorite spot, right behind her ears, sending shivers of pure bliss down her spine. These weren't just memories. They were ghosts of a life she'd believed was forever. One might look at her now, a timid dog in a cold kennel, and truly feel the heartbreak of such a stark contrast. She remembered the particular joy of a crisp autumn morning, leaves crunching under her paws, the scent of damp earth and distant wood smoke filling her nose. Eleanor would laugh softly as Daisy bounced through piles of fallen leaves, a silly, playful dance that had always made Eleanor smile. It was these simple, everyday moments that now echoed in her mind, amplifying the chill of the concrete floor beneath her. She felt like a forgotten toy, discarded and replaced without a second thought. It's a testament to a dog's profound capacity for attachment that such abandonment can cause so much emotional distress. Dogs are highly social animals who form strong bonds with their human companions, often viewing them as their primary pack members, and separation from these bonds can lead to significant psychological stress. The shelter, despite the efforts of its busy staff, was a place of perpetual motion and noise. Cages rattled, cleaning carts squeaked, and the symphony of barks never truly ceased. Daisy watched other dogs, some barking furiously at anyone who passed, others whimpering softly, mirroring her own despair. She saw the longing in their eyes as people walked by, assessing, judging, sometimes moving on without a second glance. She'd see the hopeful wag of a tail quickly diminish as a potential adopter walked past their kennel, their gaze fixed on another dog. It was a brutal cycle of hope and disappointment, played out endlessly. Her own fear, a tight knot in her stomach, kept her rooted to her corner. She barely ate, pushing the dry kibble around with her nose. Sleep, when it came, was fitful, punctuated by the jarring clang of a gate or the mournful howl of a new arrival. She missed the gentle hum of Eleanor's house, the familiar squeak of the floorboards, the comforting silence that only true companionship could provide. She yearned for the scent of lavender and old books, for the soft touch that had once been her world. She would often whimper softly to herself, a unique emotional moment of pure loneliness, hoping irrationally that Eleanor would somehow hear her, that she would come back to reclaim her. Surely she'll realize her mistake, won't she? Surely she'll remember me, one might wonder, feeling the dog's ache. The days stretched on, each one a monotonous blur of fear and longing. Daisy saw new dogs arrive, bewildered and terrified like herself, and old ones leave, some joyfully to new homes, others, sadly, to fates she couldn't comprehend. The constant turnover, the endless stream of faces, both human and canine, added to her confusion. She was just a small, cream-colored dog, lost in a sea of forgotten pets, her once vibrant spirit slowly dimming under the weight of her abandonment. Would she ever feel the warmth of a loving home again? Or was this desolate kennel her final chapter? Will kindness always prevail? Or is some hope simply too fragile for this harsh world? The monotonous drone of the shelter, a constant hum of canine anxiety and human bustling, was slowly becoming Daisy's new normal, though never truly familiar. Days bled into one another, marked only by the shifting light outside her kennel window and the rhythm of feeding times. Her once vibrant cream fur had lost some of its luster, and her eyes, though still holding that deep well of sorrow, now also carried a new wariness. She observed the comings and goings of the shelter staff, their faces a blur of efficient kindness, but none truly lingered. It was a world of endless transitions, and Daisy felt perpetually stuck in one of its cold, sterile corners. One dreary afternoon, as a weak, watery sun struggled to pierce the overcast sky, a new figure entered the kennel area. She wasn't wearing the standard staff uniform, but soft, faded jeans and a comfortable, worn sweater. Her movements were slower, more deliberate, and her presence brought with it a subtle shift in the air, a gentle calmness that even the most frantic dogs seemed to sense. This was Amelia, a volunteer. Amelia had a quiet grace about her, a way of moving that suggested deep empathy rather than rushed duty. She moved from kennel to kennel, not just passing by but pausing, murmuring soft words, and offering gentle touches through the wire. Daisy, usually withdrawn, found her gaze drawn to Amelia. There was something in the woman's eyes, a genuine warmth, a profound sadness that seemed to mirror Daisy's own. When Amelia finally reached Daisy's kennel, she knelt down, bringing herself to eye level with the trembling dog. She didn't try to pull Daisy forward or force interaction. Instead, she just sat there, quiet, her hand resting gently on the wire mesh. "Hello there, sweet girl," Amelia murmured, her voice a soft melody amidst the barking chorus. "You look a little lost, don't you?" Daisy, against her usual instinct to retreat, found herself drawn forward by the sheer gentleness of the voice. She hesitantly approached the bars, sniffing Amelia's outstretched fingers, which were offered through the wire. The scent was clean, faintly floral, and entirely unthreatening. It was a unique emotional moment, this first genuine connection since her abandonment. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Daisy felt a tiny spark of warmth, a fragile tendril of hope unfurling in her chest. She remembered Eleanor's gentle touch, and while this was different, it was undeniably kind. One might even imagine a tiny, almost imperceptible tail wag, a ghost of her former joy. Could this really be kindness for me? She might have wondered. Amelia continued to speak, softly, soothingly, about nothing in particular. The weather, the other dogs, her own day. She didn't demand a response, she simply offered her presence. She didn't reach in to grab Daisy, respecting the dog's evident fear and hesitation. Dogs, especially those who have experienced trauma, benefit immensely from slow, patient introductions and a non-threatening demeanor, as they are highly sensitive to human body language and emotional signals. Amelia understood this instinctively. She knew that trust, once broken, had to be rebuilt brick by brick, moment by quiet moment. After a long while, Amelia slowly, carefully, slid her fingers through the wire mesh, offering the back of her hand for Daisy to sniff. Daisy hesitated for only a second, then nudged her nose against the soft skin, a timid acceptance. Amelia began to gently scratch just behind Daisy's ears, exactly the spot Daisy loved most. A soft sigh escaped Daisy's lips, a sound of pure, unadulterated relief. Her body, taut with fear, began to relax, a fraction at a time. The hard knot in her stomach eased slightly. Amelia stayed there for a long time, just scratching, just talking softly, her presence a beacon of calm in the chaotic shelter. She didn't have any treats or a magical solution to Daisy's plight, but she offered something just as vital: genuine, unhurried compassion. When it was time for Amelia to leave, Daisy watched her go, a fresh wave of loneliness washing over her. But this time, it was different. It wasn't the desolate emptiness of before. There was a lingering warmth, a memory of soft touch and gentle words. She had a face to look for now, a voice to listen for amidst the din. Will this single glimmer of kindness be enough to sustain Daisy through the long, uncertain days ahead? Or is hope still a dangerous thing in this unpredictable world? The small spark of warmth that Amelia had ignited in Daisy continued to glow, faint but persistent, against the bleak backdrop of the shelter. Each morning, Daisy would now position herself closer to the front of her kennel, her ears perked, listening for the distinctive soft footsteps that meant Amelia was near. The cacophony of the shelter still grated on her nerves, but Amelia's presence was like a soothing balm, a quiet melody in a symphony of distress. This shift in her demeanor was subtle, a unique emotional moment noticed only by Amelia, who saw the guarded hope in Daisy's eyes where before there had only been fear. Amelia, true to her compassionate nature, made Daisy her first stop during her volunteer shifts. She would always bring a small, soft blanket, carefully draped over the cold concrete floor of the kennel, offering a patch of warmth and comfort. She never rushed Daisy, simply kneeling outside the bars, speaking in her low, calming voice, often reading aloud from a paperback novel she carried. The words themselves didn't matter to Daisy. It was the cadence of Amelia's voice, the steady, rhythmic sound that was so unlike the jarring noises of the shelter. It was a testament to the power of gentle consistency, the subtle art of rebuilding trust, brick by painstaking brick. One might even describe it as a meditation for the anxious canine soul. Slowly, tentatively, Daisy began to emerge from her shell. She would approach the bars, allowing Amelia to scratch behind her ears for longer periods, her body relaxing into the touch. She even started to offer tentative licks to Amelia's hand, a small yet profound gesture of burgeoning trust. Amelia would smile, a genuine, soft smile that reached her eyes, acknowledging the small victory. "You're a brave girl, Daisy," she would whisper. "A very brave girl." These moments, quiet and unassuming, were the foundation of their growing bond. One sunny afternoon, Amelia decided to try something new. With permission from the shelter staff, she took Daisy out into the small, fenced outdoor run. It was a jarring transition for Daisy at first, the bright sunlight almost blinding, the unfamiliar scents of grass and distant trees overwhelming. But Amelia stayed close, her hand gently stroking Daisy's back. Dogs communicate extensively through subtle body language and can mirror human emotions. Amelia's calm presence helped Daisy regulate her own anxiety in the new environment. Amelia knew that forcing Daisy into too much interaction too soon would only reinforce her fear. So, she simply sat on the grass, letting Daisy explore at her own pace. Daisy, after sniffing every blade of grass within her reach, eventually returned to Amelia, nudging her hand. Amelia then took out a soft tennis ball, tossing it gently a few feet away. Daisy watched it, hesitated, then, with a surprising burst of puppy-like energy, trotted over and nudged it with her nose. She didn't fetch it, not yet, but it was a playful gesture, a fleeting return to a joy she thought was lost. Amelia clapped softly, encouragingly. "Good girl, Daisy. That's it." Daisy looked at Amelia, a hint of playful mischief in her eyes, a sight Amelia hadn't seen before. "Well, look at you, a natural athlete," one might jest, observing her tentative play. Their outdoor sessions became a regular part of Amelia's visits. Daisy slowly gained confidence, venturing further, sniffing new things, and even initiating play, sometimes bringing the ball back, dropping it at Amelia's feet with a soft thump. She learned Amelia's routine, the morning greeting, the quiet reading, the outdoor play, the gentle goodbyes. For Daisy, Amelia wasn't just a kind human. She was a consistent, unwavering presence in a world that had proven brutally unpredictable. She was, in essence, her anchor. Yet, despite the progress, Daisy still carried the echoes of her abandonment. She remained wary of strangers, shrinking back into her kennel when other visitors walked by, her trust reserved solely for Amelia. Amelia understood. She knew that some wounds healed slowly, leaving scars that might always remain. The question gnawed at Amelia. Would Daisy's quiet, introverted nature, a product of her past trauma, hinder her chances of finding a forever home? In a bustling shelter where dogs had to sell themselves in mere moments, would Daisy's true, gentle spirit be overlooked? Will this quiet understanding between a volunteer and a timid dog be enough to transcend the harsh realities of the shelter system? The gentle rhythm of Amelia's visits provided Daisy with a fragile sense of normalcy within the unpredictable chaos of the shelter. Each morning, the soft, cream-colored dog would wait with an eager, yet subtle, anticipation, her eyes fixed on the entrance to the kennel area. She knew Amelia's schedule by heart, the precise time the volunteer would arrive, her movements a comforting, familiar dance through the aisles of barking dogs. Daisy had even started to show a tiny, playful wag of her tail when Amelia approached, a significant milestone for a dog once so utterly withdrawn. It was a unique, emotional moment, this quiet blossoming of joy, a testament to the patient kindness Amelia offered. However, even Amelia's warmth couldn't entirely shield Daisy from the harsh realities of the shelter system. The whispers among the longer-term volunteers and the subtle shifts in the staff's expressions spoke of an unspoken pressure. Space was always at a premium in a bustling city shelter. There were always more animals needing help than there were kennels to house them or homes to take them in. Daisy, having been there for several weeks now, was slowly but surely moving up the long stayer list. This wasn't a good list to be on. One might observe, with a sigh, the cruel arithmetic of compassion, isn't it? One afternoon, Amelia arrived with a slightly more somber expression than usual. She still offered Daisy her usual gentle words and ear scratches, but her touch seemed a little more hesitant, her gaze a little more distant. Daisy, with her keen sensitivity to human emotion, picked up on it immediately. She nudged Amelia's hand with her nose, whining softly, trying to elicit a response, a reassurance. Amelia sighed, a soft, weary sound. "Oh, Daisy," she murmured, her voice barely a whisper. "They're talking about a deadline for you, sweet girl." The word deadline didn't mean anything to Daisy, but the tone, the sadness in Amelia's voice spoke volumes. She felt the sudden tightness in Amelia's shoulders, the faint scent of worry that Amelia now carried. It was a terrifying, unknown threat, far more insidious than the loud barks of other dogs or the clanging of gates. Amelia explained, in hushed tones, how the shelter, struggling with overcrowding, had to make difficult decisions. Dogs who hadn't found homes within a certain time frame, especially those who were shy or less immediately appealing to potential adopters, faced a grim future. It was the heartbreaking truth of rescue work, a constant battle against limited resources. Shelters often face the difficult decision of euthanizing animals due to overcrowding and lack of resources, a painful reality in animal welfare that emphasizes the urgency of adoption. Amelia spent extra time with Daisy that day, trying to coax her into more playful interactions, hoping to make her appear more adoptable to any passing visitors. She tossed the tennis ball with more vigor, praised Daisy's tentative returns with more enthusiasm. Daisy, sensing the underlying urgency, tried her best to comply, wagging her tail a little harder, trying to look bright and engaging. But the lingering fear, the memory of betrayal, still made her hesitate when strangers approached her kennel. She would shrink back, her eyes wide with a plea that only Amelia seemed to truly understand. "You're such a good girl, Daisy," Amelia whispered, burying her face in Daisy's soft fur. A unique emotional moment where tears welled in Amelia's eyes. "Why can't they see that?" Daisy licked away a tear, offering the only comfort she could. The injustice of it all was palpable. Daisy, a gentle, loving dog, was being judged by superficial standards, her past trauma misconstrued as a lack of personality. One might lament, if only hearts could be seen beyond hesitant glances. The deadline loomed, a silent, invisible clock ticking down Daisy's time. Each day that passed without a serious inquiry, each visitor who walked by without stopping, chipped away at Amelia's dwindling hope. She tried to highlight Daisy's gentle nature to anyone who would listen, emphasizing her loyalty and her capacity for deep affection. But in the bustling, competitive environment of the shelter, it was a constant uphill battle. The overwhelming sense of despair hung heavy in the air, a stark contrast to the small, tender moments of connection they shared. Would this deadline truly mark the end of Daisy's journey? Or would an unforeseen miracle intervene before it was too late? Will kindness always prevail? Or are some battles simply too big for even the most devoted hearts to win? The weight of the looming deadline pressed heavily on Amelia. She felt it in the way her shoulders ached at the end of each shift, in the knot of worry that tightened in her stomach. Every day, she watched hopeful families walk past Daisy's kennel, their eyes often drawn to the more outwardly boisterous or immediately engaging dogs. Daisy, with her gentle, reserved nature, often went unnoticed, a quiet presence in a sea of louder personalities. It was a heartbreaking reality, the silent ticking of a clock that threatened to run out. Amelia would offer Daisy extra treats, longer ear scratches, trying to infuse every moment with reassurance, a unique emotional moment of quiet desperation. One blustery Tuesday morning, as Amelia was restocking the kennel's water bowls, the shelter director, Ms. Evelyn Reed, approached her. Ms. Reed was a woman of efficiency and stark practicality, her demeanor often brusque, but with a deep, hidden love for the animals under her care. She held a clipboard, her brow furrowed. "Amelia," she began, her voice cutting through the general hubbub. "About Daisy. We have a last-minute spot at the Pause for a Cause Gala this Saturday." Amelia's head snapped up, her heart leaping. The Pause for a Cause Gala was the city's most prestigious animal adoption event, held annually at the elegant Grand Ballroom. It was a high-profile affair, attended by philanthropists, influential citizens, and potential adopters looking for a special companion. It was where the most adoptable dogs were showcased, the ones with irresistible puppy dog eyes or charming tricks. Daisy, with her shyness, hardly seemed like the typical gala attendee. "But Daisy? She's so reserved," Amelia stammered, a mix of hope and trepidation warring within her. Ms. Reed nodded, a flicker of something akin to a smile touching her lips. "Precisely. Most of our usual suspects are already placed or scheduled. We need a dog who represents the resilience of our long-term residents. And after what I've seen you do with her, Amelia, I think Daisy has a hidden spark. It's a long shot, but it's her best shot. We need you to handle her, of course. Amelia felt a surge of adrenaline mixed with a healthy dose of fear. This was it, Daisy's miracle. But it was also immense pressure. The gala was a whirlwind of noise, lights, and unfamiliar faces, everything Daisy usually retreated from. It was like taking a delicate wildflower and placing it in the center of a bustling city square. She'll be overwhelmed, Amelia worried aloud, her voice tight. She hates crowds. Miss Reed placed a firm hand on Amelia's shoulder. Then you'll prepare her. Work with her. This is her chance, Amelia. Don't waste it. We don't get many opportunities like this for a dog like Daisy. With that, Miss Reed turned and strode away, leaving Amelia with a mixture of exhilaration and daunting responsibility. One might muse, talk about going from the frying pan into the ballroom. Amelia immediately began Daisy's gala prep. She spent every spare moment in Daisy's kennel, playing soft music on her phone, speaking in even lower, more soothing tones. She started taking Daisy to the busiest parts of the shelter during quieter hours, slowly exposing her to more noise and movement, always with comforting words and gentle strokes. She'd praise Daisy for every small step of progress. A glance at a passing stranger, a tentative sniff of a new object. Dogs learn through positive reinforcement and gradual exposure, with consistent, patient training helping them overcome anxieties and adapt to new situations. Amelia knew that pushing Daisy too hard would backfire. It was a delicate dance of encouragement and reassurance. Daisy, sensing the urgency in Amelia's gentle demeanor, tried her best. She still flinched at loud noises, and her tail would tuck nervously when too many people were around. But she clung to Amelia like a lifeline. She trusted Amelia implicitly, and if Amelia believed this overwhelming gala was important, then Daisy would try. She began to associate Amelia's calm presence with the scary new sounds, slowly building a small bubble of security amidst the external chaos. It was a challenging, emotional journey for both of them, a silent pact to face the unknown together. Right, Daisy, big day coming up. Think of it as our America's Got Talent audition, Amelia might have whispered, trying to inject some levity. As the days dwindled towards Saturday, Amelia felt the pressure mount. She practiced walking Daisy on a leash through imaginary crowds, rehearsing the perfect pose for potential adopters, even gently wiping Daisy's fur to make her look her absolute best. She wanted Daisy to shine, to finally be seen for the gentle, loving soul she truly was, hidden beneath layers of fear. This gala was more than just an adoption event. It was a symbol of hope for all the overlooked, a chance to prove that true connection transcends superficial appearances. Will Daisy's quiet spirit be able to captivate someone on such a grand and intimidating stage? Or will the noise and spectacle prove too much for her fragile hope? Will kindness always prevail, even in the glare of the spotlight? The grand ballroom, typically a venue for glittering galas and society events, had been transformed. Today, it was a symphony of soft barks, excited whimpers, and the gentle chatter of hopeful families. Banners advertising "Adopt, Don't Shop," draped from the ornate chandeliers, and makeshift kennels, adorned with colorful blankets and toys, lined the perimeter. The air hummed with a nervous energy, a mix of anticipation from the humans and cautious optimism from the dogs. This was the pause for a cause gala, and for Daisy, it was the biggest, most intimidating stage of her life. Amelia felt a tremor of anxiety herself as she guided Daisy through the bustling entrance. The noise, amplified by the high ceilings and the murmur of hundreds of conversations, was overwhelming. Daisy, despite Amelia's best efforts at exposure therapy, immediately tensed. Her tail, which had shown tentative wags at the shelter, tucked tightly between her legs, and her cream-colored fur bristled slightly. Her eyes, wide with fear, darted around, trying to process the sheer volume of new sights and smells. She pressed herself against Amelia's leg, a small, trembling anchor in a sea of unknown faces. It was a unique, emotional moment, seeing Daisy's profound fear juxtaposed against the festive atmosphere, highlighting the depth of her past trauma. Amelia knelt, her voice a soothing balm amidst the chaos. "It's okay, sweet girl. I'm right here. You're safe." She gently stroked Daisy's head, whispering reassurances. She led Daisy to their assigned station, a relatively quiet corner near a large, potted palm. Here, Amelia had laid out Daisy's favorite blanket and a few familiar toys, trying to create a small, comforting sanctuary within the grand hall. She sat on a low stool, pulling Daisy close, allowing the dog to burrow her head into Amelia's lap. Amelia knew the importance of providing a secure base for fearful dogs in new environments. Dogs often rely on their human companions as a secure attachment figure, much like a child with a parent, and can derive comfort and confidence from their presence in stressful situations. For the first hour, Daisy remained a hesitant, almost invisible presence. Families strolled by, some glancing at her, but most were drawn to the more extroverted dogs who barked cheerfully or performed tricks. Amelia remained patient, never pushing Daisy, simply being there, a silent testament to the dog's gentle nature. She would occasionally offer a quiet invitation to play or a gentle scratch behind the ears, hoping to spark a flicker of Daisy's emerging personality. "Come on, Daisy," she'd murmur. "Show them your charming side. We're not just here for the free dog biscuits." Gigging. Then, a young boy, perhaps named Leo, no older than 7, with bright, curious eyes, spotted Daisy. He pulled on his mother's sleeve. "Mom, look! That dog is so quiet." His mother, a kind-faced woman, smiled and approached. Amelia greeted them softly, explaining Daisy's background, her shyness, and her incredible capacity for loyalty once she trusted someone. Daisy, though still timid, didn't shrink away as much as she usually would from a stranger. The boy, sensing her fragility, extended a tiny hand slowly. Daisy sniffed it, then, with a barely perceptible movement, licked his fingers. The boy giggled, a pure, innocent sound that seemed to cut through Daisy's fear. This small interaction was a breakthrough. It wasn't an immediate adoption, but it was a sign. Amelia praised Daisy effusively, her voice filled with pride. The positive reinforcement seemed to bolster Daisy's fragile confidence. She began to lift her head a little higher, her eyes still wary, but no longer consumed by terror. She even took a small treat from Amelia's hand, a sign that her appetite, usually suppressed by anxiety, was returning. As the afternoon wore on, Amelia saw the toll the constant stimulation was taking on Daisy. Despite the small progress, Daisy's body language was still defensive, her muscles tight. Amelia knew that even heroes need a break. She found a quiet back corridor, away from the main hall, and sat with Daisy for a few minutes, allowing the dog to simply rest, to decompress. Daisy leaned into her, sighing deeply, clearly grateful for the respite. "Almost done, sweet girl," Amelia whispered, stroking her soft fur. "Just a little longer." The grand stage was still daunting, but for the first time, a true, tangible hope for a new beginning seemed within their grasp. Will this carefully nurtured hope find its fruition? Or will the demanding nature of the event prove too challenging for Daisy to truly shine? As the afternoon sunshine softened, casting long golden shadows across the ballroom, the energy at the Pause for a Cause gala began to mellow. The initial frenzy had subsided, replaced by a more relaxed, contemplative atmosphere. Many dogs had already found their forever homes, their joyous departures leaving behind a quieter, more hopeful hum. Daisy, nestled close to Amelia, was still wary of the lingering crowd, but her earlier terror had softened into a cautious observation. She was still Daisy, quiet and observant, but a little less afraid. It was during this calmer period that Mrs. Eleanor Vance entered the ballroom. She wasn't loud or flashy, unlike some of the attendees. Mrs. Vance was an elegant woman of distinguished age, with silver hair impeccably styled and eyes that held a lifetime of quiet observation. She moved with an unhurried grace, her gaze sweeping across the various kennels, not with a judging eye, but with a gentle curiosity. She had come to the gala not for a specific breed or a perfect pet, but simply with an open heart, hoping to find a companion who genuinely needed her. One might notice the subtle difference in her approach, a genuine seeking rather than just a casual browse. Mrs. Vance paused at Daisy's station. She didn't immediately reach out or speak loudly. Instead, she simply stood, observing. She watched the subtle way Daisy leaned into Amelia's comforting hand, the timid glance Daisy cast at the bustling room, the slight tremor in her small body. She saw not shyness, but a quiet dignity, a profound vulnerability that resonated deeply with her. Mrs. Vance had a particular fondness for those overlooked, the gentle souls who might be missed in the clamor of the world. This was a unique, emotional moment, the silent connection forming across the invisible barrier of the kennel, a recognition of kindred spirits. Amelia, sensing a different kind of presence, looked up. She offered a soft, genuine smile. "Hello," she murmured. "This is Daisy." She began to share Daisy's story, her abandonment, her initial fear, and the slow, painstaking journey of trust she had made. She spoke of Daisy's gentle nature, her deep capacity for loyalty, and the quiet joy she brought to those who earned her trust. Mrs. Vance listened intently, her eyes never leaving Daisy. Daisy, usually retreating when strangers approached, felt something different about this woman. There was no overwhelming scent of eagerness, no loud voice demanding attention, just a calm, soothing aura. Mrs. Vance slowly extended her hand, not directly to Daisy, but allowing Daisy to approach on her own terms. Daisy, surprisingly, took a tentative step forward, sniffing the elegant gloved hand. Mrs. Vance's scent was a delightful blend of expensive perfume and something else, something warm and comforting, like old books and fresh linen. It was a pleasant contrast to the usual shelter smells. "Well, that's a new one might think, observing Daisy's unexpected openness. Mrs. Vance gently, ever so gently, stroked Daisy's head, her touch surprisingly light and reassuring. Daisy leaned into it, a soft sigh escaping her. She looked up into Mrs. Vance's eyes, and in them, she saw not pity, but understanding, a reflection of her own quiet yearning for a true connection. Mrs. Vance spoke softly, her voice a gentle murmur. "You're a very special girl, aren't you, Daisy? I think you might be just what I'm looking for." The conversation continued, with Amelia answering all of Mrs. Vance's questions about Daisy's temperament, her needs, and the care she would require. Mrs. Vance didn't ask about tricks or pedigree. She asked about personality, about the dog's heart. It was clear that she was looking for a companion, not just a pet. She spoke of her quiet home, a large house with a sprawling garden, where she lived alone after the passing of her beloved husband. She spoke of missing companionship, of a quiet presence to share her days with. Dogs often respond instinctively to genuine calm and empathy in humans, picking up on subtle cues that convey trustworthiness and a nurturing disposition, which is crucial for forming new bonds. By the time Mrs. Vance finally left, having completed the adoption paperwork, both Amelia and Daisy felt a profound sense of hope, so strong it almost hurt. Mrs. Vance promised to return the following morning to take Daisy home. As she departed, she turned and offered Amelia a small, knowing smile. "Thank you, dear. I believe you've given me a true treasure." Amelia watched her go, a lump in her throat. She looked down at Daisy, who for the first time since her arrival at the shelter, seemed truly, deeply at peace, a gentle, contented sigh escaping her. The future, once a looming deadline, now shimmered with the promise of warmth and unwavering love. Would this new chapter truly bring the lasting happiness Daisy deserved? Or were there still unforeseen challenges awaiting her in this new, unknown world? The next morning, the air in Daisy's kennel was different. No longer thick with the scent of anxiety and disinfectant, it hummed with a quiet anticipation. Amelia arrived early, her face alight with a gentle joy. She spent extra time grooming Daisy, brushing her cream-colored fur until it shone, and even tying a small, soft blue ribbon around her neck. Daisy, sensing the specialness of the occasion, stood patiently, her eyes reflecting Amelia's happiness. It was a unique, emotional moment, this shared, hopeful quiet before a life-altering transition. One might feel a swelling in their own heart, witnessing such a profound yet silent farewell. When Mrs. Eleanor Vance arrived, she did so with a quiet elegance that brought a new kind of grace to the bustling shelter. She spoke softly to Amelia, expressing her gratitude once more, and then turned her gentle gaze to Daisy. Daisy, instead of shrinking back, took a tentative step forward, her tail giving a shy, hopeful wag. Mrs. Vance knelt, extending a hand, and Daisy, with newfound confidence, gently licked her fingers. It was a silent affirmation, a promise exchanged between them. Amelia, watching the interaction, felt a wave of relief wash over her. Her work was done. Daisy was going home. The car ride to Mrs. Vance's residence was a revelation for Daisy. Unlike the terrifying journey to the shelter, this one was filled with soft classical music emanating from the speakers and the comforting scent of Mrs. Vance's perfume. Daisy sat quietly on a plush blanket in the back seat, occasionally glancing out the window at the passing scenery, her former world receding with every mile. She still felt a flicker of apprehension, a ghost of past abandonment, but it was quickly overshadowed by a sense of calm reassurance from Mrs. Vance's steady presence beside her. Dogs are creatures of habit and routine, and while new environments can be stressful, a consistent, calm human presence significantly aids their adaptation. The house itself was nothing short of magnificent. It was a grand old home, nestled amidst sprawling, manicured gardens, its brick exterior softened by climbing ivy. Daisy stepped out of the car onto a soft, green lawn, the scent of blooming roses and damp earth filling her nose. Inside, the house was a symphony of quiet luxury, gleaming hardwood floors, plush Persian rugs, and antique furniture that exuded an air of timeless elegance. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the warm air, reminiscent of the cherished memories of her first home. Well, this certainly beats a concrete kennel, doesn't it, Daisy? One might muse with a chuckle. Daisy moved cautiously through the vast rooms, her paws making soft clicks on the polished floors. She sniffed at every corner, exploring her new domain. There were soft sofas piled high with velvet cushions, a spacious kitchen filled with the promise of delicious smells, and a grand staircase that seemed to lead to endless possibilities. Mrs. Vance followed her patiently, allowing Daisy to explore at her own pace, occasionally offering a gentle word of encouragement. She showed Daisy to her new bed, a truly luxurious affair, soft and thick, with a cashmere blanket folded neatly at the foot. Daisy tentatively sniffed it, then, with a happy sigh, curled up, burying her nose in the softness. It was the most comfortable bed she had ever known, a profound contrast to the cold concrete she had endured for weeks. Her first evening was a gentle introduction to her new life of splendor. Mrs. Vance prepared a special dinner, a bowl of high-quality kibble mixed with tender, cooked chicken, its rich aroma making Daisy's tail wag furiously. For the first time since her abandonment, Daisy ate with genuine relish, savoring every bite. Later, she lay by Mrs. Vance's feet, as the woman read quietly in a soft armchair. The only sounds the turning of pages and the gentle crackle of a newly lit fireplace. It was the very picture of domestic bliss, a scene Daisy had only dreamt of. She felt a deep, abiding gratitude for this quiet, elegant woman who had opened her home and her heart. The transition wasn't entirely without its moments of hesitation. Occasionally, a loud noise would make Daisy flinch, or a new, unfamiliar person visiting the house would cause her to retreat momentarily. But Mrs. Vance was endlessly patient, always offering reassurance, always providing a safe space. She understood Daisy's past and honored her need for a gentle hand. Mrs. Vance often mused, "She chose me, you know." She looked at me with those eyes, and I knew. Will Daisy's newfound comfort truly erase the shadows of her past? Or will the memory of abandonment always linger, a subtle reminder of where she came from? Daisy's new life with Mrs. Eleanor Vance was a tapestry woven with threads of comfort, quiet joy, and boundless affection. The grand house, once seemingly vast and daunting, had become her beloved sanctuary. Every morning, she would greet Mrs. Vance with a soft whine and a gentle nudge, her tail wagging a happy rhythm against the polished floors. Her cream-colored fur now gleamed with health, and her eyes, once clouded with fear, sparkled with contentment. She had truly transformed from a timid, abandoned shelter dog into a cherished companion, blooming under the unwavering warmth of Mrs. Vance's love. It was a unique emotional moment, observing this complete and utter metamorphosis, a testament to what kindness can achieve. And yes, the promise of dining on steak every night wasn't a mere exaggeration. While it wasn't literally a full steak dinner every single evening, Mrs. Vance was sensible, after all. Daisy's diet consisted of the finest quality dog food, frequently supplemented with delectable additions of cooked, lean meats, often tender slices of steak or chicken, lovingly prepared by Mrs. Vance herself. Her bowl, a beautiful ceramic dish, was always full, and Daisy ate with a quiet satisfaction, no longer rushed or anxious about where her next meal would come from. Honestly, if I knew saving a fortune meant this kind of menu, I'd have started my heroics much sooner. One might playfully imagine Daisy thinking, mid-chew. Their days settled into a comfortable, luxurious routine. Mornings often began with a leisurely walk through Mrs. Vance's sprawling, impeccably maintained garden, where Daisy would happily sniff at every rosebush and chase after butterflies, with limited success, thankfully. Afternoons were for quiet companionship. Daisy curled at Mrs. Vance's feet as she read in her favorite armchair, or napping in sunbeams that streamed through the tall windows. Evenings were reserved for gentle playtime, soft classical music, and those special meat-enhanced dinners, followed by long, soothing pats and belly rubs. Daisy had never known such consistent affection, such complete security. Dogs thrive on routine and predictable environments, which reduces stress and fosters a strong sense of security and belonging. This stability was a crucial component of her profound happiness. Daisy's gratitude was boundless and expressed in countless small ways. She would follow Mrs. Vance from room to room, a silent shadow, always near, always ready with a soft nudge of her head, or a gentle lick to a hand. If Mrs. Vance felt a moment of sadness or stress, Daisy would sense it immediately, offering a comforting presence, leaning into her human, or simply resting her head on Mrs. Vance's lap with a soft whine. Their bond grew deeper each day, a testament to the profound connection that can form between a rescued animal and their human. Mrs. Vance often remarked to friends, "Daisy rescued me just as much as I rescued her." The story of Daisy, the abandoned shelter dog who found a life of luxury and love, quickly became a local legend. Mrs. Vance, a respected figure in the community, quietly shared Daisy's journey, always highlighting the importance of animal adoption and the incredible potential within every shelter animal. Her influence led to more awareness, more donations, and more adoptions at the very shelter where Daisy had once cowered in fear. It was a ripple effect of kindness, demonstrating that one act of compassion can inspire countless others. The unique emotional moment here lies in the quiet dignity with which Mrs. Vance champions Daisy's story, inspiring change without fanfare. Daisy's journey, from the cold concrete of a kennel to the warmth of a loving home where she dined on steak every night, served as a beacon of hope. It was a powerful reminder that even in the face of betrayal and despair, resilience and the unwavering power of human kindness can lead to the most extraordinary transformations. She was no longer just a scrappy mutt or a dumped dog. She was Daisy, a beloved family member, a testament to loyalty, and an enduring symbol of hope for every animal waiting for their second chance. Her story continues to echo, a gentle whisper of inspiration in a world that always needs more proof that, truly, kindness always prevails. The soft glow of the fireplace paints dancing shadows on the walls of Mrs. Vance's living room. Daisy, a soft, warm bundle of cream-colored fur, is curled contentedly on her cashmere bed, a gentle sigh escaping her. The only sounds are the quiet crackle of burning logs and the rhythmic breathing of a dog truly at peace. Her dreams are filled with warmth, the scent of lavender and fresh linen, and the endless, gentle strokes of a loving hand. The memories of cold concrete and loud barks are distant echoes now, replaced by the comforting reality of a full belly and a heart overflowing with love. She is home. Script end. Good night.